This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
The House is preparing to vote on a Senate-passed continuing resolution that will reopen the federal government. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is responding to the Senate vote that moves the government closer to reopening.
I'm stunned.
I'm Ed Donahue.
The Pentagon's largest aircraft carrier arrives in Latin America. I'm Clayton Neville.
On Wall Street, the Dow opens this morning at a fresh record high. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
SNAP recipients will have to wait a little longer after the U.S. Supreme Court okays withholding food benefits until Friday or the shutdown ends, whichever comes first.
Baby formula manufacturer By Heart has recalled all of its products sold nationwide. I'm Haya Panjwani.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Later today, it's believed the House of Representatives, back in session for the first time in 6 weeks, will vote to end the government shutdown. John Stolnis has the latest from Washington.
On day 43, it appears the shutdown will end. The House of Representatives will gavel into session later today and is expected to vote on the bill passed by the Senate Sunday night that would fund the government through January, providing money for SNAP and WIC food assistance programs for the next year, as well as pay those serving in the military. It also comes with a promise in the Senate to look at fixing the rising Obamacare subsidies at the heart of the Democrats' opposition. Members are trying to deal with flight cancellations and delays due to the government shutdown's effect on air traffic controllers in order to get back to the nation's capital for the vote. Republican Congressman Chip Roy telling Fox News he does not see anyone in the Freedom Caucus opposing the bill.
We're delighted to be able to keep the government moving forward, keep spending relatively flat, and then do our job, and then have a real debate about health care once the government's back open so the American people are no longer suffering with crowded airports and all the things that Democrats cause.
Many Democrats are upset at Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, accusing him of caving to Republicans in the negotiations, agreeing to a deal without negotiating a fix to the Obamacare subsidies. Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna is one of the Democrats calling for him to step down, accusing him of being the architect of the negotiations.
Senator Shaheen was on this morning saying every negotiation was run by him every day.
Schumer did vote no on the legislation, but a number of Democrats believe that was just for show. Fellow Democrat John Fetterman telling The View, Democrats need to take a realistic look at where they are and the power they don't have.
I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations.
Also happening today, Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva will finally be sworn in by House Speaker Mike Johnson 50 days after her election. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Johnson was afraid to do it sooner because Grijalva has promised to bring forward legislation that would expose the Epstein files.
Her first act, as she's indicated, is going to be to sign that discharge petition. It's going to force a vote on the House floor.
Her confirmation is set for around 4 p.m. Eastern Time, right before the House votes on government funding. John Stolnis, Washington.
The nation spent Tuesday honoring those who have served in the armed forces. Correspondent Jennifer King reports on Veterans Day events in Washington, D.C., at Arlington National Cemetery, and around the country, including some that had to be canceled due to the government shutdown.
We gather to fulfill the sacred duty of every free man and woman. On Veterans Day, we honor those who have worn the uniform, who have borne the battle, who have stood to watch, and whose ranks have formed the mighty wall of flesh and blood, bravery and devotion that has defended our freedom for 250 years.
From the halls. The U.S. marked Veterans Day with ceremonies and parades around the nation. On a chilly day at Arlington National Cemetery, President Trump attended a wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Because of what every veteran has done today, the flame of liberty shines bright. The people of our nation sleep safe. The American dream surges forward.
Also in attendance,
the most important natural resource that we have is that we have hundreds of thousands of young people every single month who sign up to put on the uniform and risk their lives for their fellow citizens. That is a resource we cannot squander. That is a resource we must protect.
Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins and the Vice President J.D. Vance, himself a former Marine.
If you find yourself at a restaurant this evening and you see somebody wearing a uniform, buy them a meal if you're able, or buy them a beer. If you see a veteran of our nation's armed forces, if you know somebody in your family, give them a call and say thank you.
Many events at federal venues were curtailed or canceled due to the government shutdown. Organizers had to call off a Flag for Every Hero event at California's Riverside National Cemetery, and at Calverton National Cemetery on Long Island, visitors were greeted with a huge American flag hung by local firefighters instead of the usual ceremony.
Today, to every veteran, we love our veterans, we say the words too often left unsaid. Thank you for your service. Thank you very much.
I'm Jennifer King.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. It's the Sleep Number Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with cozy, soothing comfort. Save on mattress and base bundles, plus free premium delivery. Limited time, only at Sleep Number or sleepnumber.com. When we return on America in the Morning, Navy strike group arrives off Latin America after these messages. Welcome back, and thanks for listening. You're with America in the Morning, beginning in the West. AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton has a check of the nation's forecast.
Perhaps most importantly, the first thing that can be expected for the West Coast is that many places stay dry through the daylight portion of this Wednesday, offering plenty of time to get in any shopping or other errands before a rather messy storm pushes on shore by later tonight. Showers through the day will be most likely in parts of western Washington and in the general San Francisco area. Have some energy swings through these areas ahead of the main event, and that main event will be a storm mainly focused on later tonight and into Thursday, with strong winds of at least 40 to 50 miles per hour developing from northern California into parts of the central coast, as well as much of the Sierra Nevada mountains, and at least a half inch to 2 inches of rain along the entire California coast through Friday morning, with any widespread higher amounts than that most likely confined to northwestern California. However, rain of up to an inch could sneak across the border into central Nevada as well. The other active zone of the day will again be the Great Lakes and Northeast, where an exiting storm will continue to fuel some lake effect showers of rain around Michigan, and still snow at least mix in downwind of both Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. To the east of there, it should be cold enough for mostly or entirely snow into northwestern Maine and much of northern New England, but flurries and snow showers should be confined to just the morning for central New England, from northern Massachusetts into southern Vermont and New Hampshire, with a mainly dry day from southern Connecticut southward right through the East Coast. In fact, outside of those two storms, just about all of the nation should be dry today as it turns warmer in the southeast and stays warm in the southwest. In Grand Rapids, Michigan, today looks mainly cloudy and breezy, the high 45. For Mount Vernon, Washington, expect clouds and a shower or two, high 56. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The Supreme Court extended on Tuesday a temporary ruling that allowed the Trump administration to withhold food stamp benefits while Congress worked to advance a measure to end the government shutdown. According to the nation's highest court, the new order will expire just before midnight on Thursday, giving lawmakers and President Trump 2 more days to approve and sign a government funding bill. The House is expected to vote as early as this afternoon on a measure passed by the Senate. The justice's order extends delays and uncertainty for millions of Americans who rely on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. Roughly 42 million Americans use monthly SNAP benefits to buy groceries. How the Supreme Court voted on the SNAP ruling was not announced, but Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, an appointee of former President Biden, publicly dissented and voted to resume payments. Shifting gears, the U.S. Navy says the Pentagon's largest aircraft carrier and its strike group has arrived in the waters off Latin America. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
The USS Gerald R. Ford is boosting the U.S. military presence in the U.S. Southern Command area of the Latin American region. The arrival comes amid a recent tension between the Trump administration and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who President Trump accuses of being behind drug trafficking in those waters, where the U.S. has recently struck alleged drug trafficking boats. President Trump was recently asked by CBS's 60 Minutes if Maduro's days are numbered.
I would say, yeah. I think so, yeah.
And this issue of potential land strikes in Venezuela, is that true?
I don't tell you that. I mean, I'm not saying it's true or untrue, but I wouldn't.
Why would we do it?
Inclined to say that I would do that.
A statement from the Pentagon says the presence of the USS Gerald Ford will enhance existing capabilities to disrupt drug trafficking and dismantle transnational criminal organizations. I'm Clayton Neville.
When we return on America in the Morning, claims of deceptive stock marketing at AI companies. After these messages. The Business Report is sponsored by Gusto. Gusto is a simple online payroll and benefits tool built for small businesses. Learn more at gusto.com/radio. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a mixed day for the markets. The Nasdaq was in the red. Some investors sold out of some tech names, while the Dow soared and hit a fresh record high. There is a lot of optimism among investors.
Seasonality plays a very big, important part right now. Between now and the end of the year, on average, fourth quarter grows 8.5% cumulatively. You want to be long, you want to be buying the dips, and that's what I was doing last week.
Hightower's Stephanie Link on CNBC. Now, the big short investor, Michael Burry, has been accusing the AI companies called hyperscalers of artificially boosting their earnings. And there's a debate happening on Wall Street.
The conversation is now shifting from these stocks are in a bubble because they're expensive to these businesses are doing something that is deceptive to investors. I think for most people, that's a bridge too far. They're not hiding their numbers. They're just accounting for depreciation of some of the CapEx spending that they're doing.
Ritholtz Wealth's Josh Brown on CNBC. You can read his full comments at CNBC.com. House members scrambling to get to D.C. They'd like to vote this afternoon on the bill to end the government shutdown that the Senate passed. But even then, another shutdown is looming.
A part of this bill will only fund the government until January 30th. And I think it is going to be something to watch to see if we get into a partial shutdown at that point.
CNBC's Emily Wilkins in Washington. Airlines warned that flight cancellations will continue even after the government shutdown ends. It takes time to adjust schedules and staffing. The warning comes just 2 weeks before the busiest travel days ahead of Thanksgiving.
Think of this like you would see a major storm hitting a couple of metropolitan areas. You just can't snap your fingers and everything goes back to normal. Thursday is still going to be probably a rough day in terms of cancellations. Friday, you start to see the flights coming back, but it's not going to be a full snapback. It would likely be into the weekend before you could say, okay, we're seeing the scheduling that we saw before the government shutdown.
That's CNBC's Phil LeBeau. Holiday spending plans are the lowest on record for U.S. consumers. The average adult will spend about 7% less than last year. The wealthy who spend will not make up for the low end who are going to pull back.
Ours is all holiday spending and travel, on clothes, on parties, on food, the whole thing. And it's expected to be down. It's not among the wealthier consumers. It's not among the older consumers. It's among the younger consumers who are cash strapped.
That's the Conference Board's Steve Odland on CNBC. On today's watch list, earnings are coming from the parent of FanDuel. It's called Flutter Entertainment.
There's Jessica Ettinger of CNBC with Wednesday Business. When we return on America in the Morning, Gavin Newsom chides Democrats over shutdown deal after these messages. California Governor Gavin Newsom is taking aim not just at President Trump, but also at his own party for what he calls a, quote, pathetic shutdown deal to reopen the government. Details from correspondent Ed Donahue.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is responding to the Senate vote that moves the government closer to reopening.
I'm I'm stunned.
8 senators, 7 of them Democrats, decided to break with Democrats and end the shutdown.
I'm not coming in to punch anybody in the face, but I'm not pleased that in the face of this invasive species that is Donald Trump, who's completely changed the rules of the game, that we're still playing by the old rules of the game.
Newsom spoke to the AP at the UN climate conference in Brazil. As news developed of a possible compromise, Newsom's press office wrote on X, pathetic. This isn't a deal. It's a surrender. Don't bend the knee. The governor says he is alarmed about the senators who made the compromise.
I'm much more alarmed about the future of our country and the world we're trying to build than they are.
Newsom has been mentioned as a possible presidential candidate. I'm Ed Donahue.
An urgent recall on baby formula has been expanded nationwide. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
Baby formula manufacturer By Heart has recalled all of its products sold nationwide. That comes days after some batches were recalled during an expanding outbreak of infant botulism. State and federal health officials say at least 15 babies in 12 states have been sickened in the outbreak since August, and more cases are pending. All of the infants were hospitalized after consuming By Heart formula. Parents and caregivers who have the formula in their homes should immediately stop using it and get rid of the product. Babies with symptoms of infant botulism need immediate medical care. I'm Haya Panjwani.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
President Trump is caught off guard by a usually sympathetic interviewer. I'm Rich Johnson.
Families of the young campers killed in flooding in Central Texas over the summer now suing that camp. I'm Clayton Neville.
The southeastern U.S. is seeing record low temperatures, and the Northeast is seeing snowfall. I'm Haya Panjwani.
A pair of Christian missionaries killed in a plane crash.
Pieces of the plane everywhere.
I'm Joan Jones.
A Utah judge has rejected a new congressional map drawn by Republican lawmakers. I'm Mike Hempen.
Dancing with the Stars celebrates 20 years. I'm Kevin Carr.
All ahead on America in the Morning. You're with America in the Morning this Wednesday, and an Arctic chill has enveloped millions of Americans. With the forecast, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
After the shock to the system of the first significant burst of cold, including some record low temperatures, even some early season snow for a number of places in the Great Lakes Northeast and even parts of the South, temperatures are generally on the way up for much of this area today, as winds turning more from the south and west will help to usher in less cold air. In addition, high pressure creeping eastward helps to limit the coverage of showers away from the Great Lakes, as that warming trend around the region supports rain showers instead of yesterday's snow showers for some areas like Michigan, while places farther to the east, where it takes longer for that chill to break, at least end up with more of a mix of rain and snow through the day, like those areas downwind of Lakes Erie and Ontario. However, the southeast is one of those places where warmer weather returns later today. The vast majority of the rest of the nation should be dry through the daylight hours of this Wednesday, as several cores of high pressure largely sit in place over the Four Corners region, just off the Florida Gulf Coast, and even just to the north of Idaho and western Montana, all promoting a lack of precipitation while warmer weather stays in the west. However, this is all in advance of the next storm that will deliver some impactful changes to the west, but it takes its time getting into that region, and this means that a good chunk of the day should be dry, outside of some showers dotting northwestern Washington and parts of the San Francisco Bay Area. The storm really pushes on shore by the wee hours of Thursday morning, mainly focused on California, where the wind is expected to top out at 50 to 60 miles per hour into the day tomorrow. 2 to 4 inches of rain can be expected through Friday morning, both in parts of northwestern California and throughout the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Even though the U.S. House is planning a vote later today to end the government shutdown, flight delays and cancellations are causing aggravation at the nation's airports as air traffic controllers and TSA agents have yet to receive a paycheck for over a month, and delays on flights could continue for days and even weeks after the government resumes full operations. Correspondent Marissa Duhaney reports on how air traffic controllers and the Trump administration are responding to the ongoing government shutdown.
President Donald Trump has ordered all air traffic controllers to, quote, get back to work now.
I was not happy when I saw all these people. Oh, we have to look, life is not so easy for anybody. Our country's never done better. We should not have had people leaving their jobs. And what I basically did is say the ones that stayed, of which there were a lot of them, I'm sending them a $10,000 bonus.
Where's that money coming from?
I don't know. I'll get it from someplace.
He posted on Truth Social that he wants to give a $10,000 bonus to controllers who have stayed on the job every day during the government shutdown and dock the pay of those who haven't. The Federal Aviation Administration has cut flights to ease pressure on controllers, and frustration is only mounting over the growing number of flight cancellations daily across U.S. airports. Some air traffic controllers, unpaid for nearly a month, have stopped showing up, citing the added stress and the need to take a second job.
This is the erosion of the safety margin the flying public never sees, but America relies on every single day.
The Senate took a first step towards ending the shutdown Sunday, but final passage could still be several days away. Tuesday will be the second missed payday for air traffic controllers and other employees of the Federal Aviation Administration.
Anywhere from 24 to 48 hours after the government opens, they're going to get a photo ID and 70% of their pay. So 70% of their pay comes within 24 to 48 hours. So I encourage all of them to come to work, to be patriots, and help navigate the airspace effectively for the American people.
After a weekend that saw thousands of flights canceled, airlines canceled another 1,700 flights by early Monday afternoon and nearly 1,000 for Tuesday.
Marissa Duhaney reporting. Tuesday saw more than half of all flights at LaGuardia Airport in New York delayed and 150 flights on Southwest Airlines canceled. America in the Morning continues. President Trump's interview with Laura Ingraham of Fox News wasn't as sympathetic as he might have expected when it came to issues including the economy and grocery prices. Correspondent Rich Johnson has the story.
There's never going to be a country like what we have right now.
And does that
mean
the
Republicans have to talk about it, Laura.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we
a
have
country
plenty of talented people
no, you
here.
don't. No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
when you and I were growing up.
The president has been known to find ways to blast Democrats regardless of the question, as when Ingraham asked whether people's perceptions of the economy are incorrect.
Or is there more that needs to be done by Republicans on Capitol Hill, or done in terms of policy?
More than anything else, it's a con job by the Democrats.
Then why are people saying they're anxious about the economy? Why are they saying that?
I don't know that they are saying. I think polls are fake. We have the greatest economy we've ever had.
Ingraham also pressed Trump on his idea of rewarding air traffic controllers who did not call in sick.
I'm sending them a $10,000 bonus.
Where's that money coming from?
I don't know. I'll get it from someplace.
Another Ingraham challenge.
Your housing director has proposed something that has enraged your MAGA friends.
That would be the idea of 50-year home mortgages.
Is that really a good idea?
It's not even a big deal. I mean, you go from 40 to 50 years, and what it means is you pay something less. From 30, that some people had a 40, and then now they have a 50. All it means is you pay less per month. You pay it over a longer period of time.
Trump's interviews with Fox hosts are usually sympathetic, and Ingraham was never overtly hostile, but her challenges appeared to catch Trump off guard. That led to a flood of social media posts from conservatives, some of whom were not happy with Ingraham, but many were very unhappy with Trump. I'm Rich Johnson.
Families of 13 campers and 2 counselors from Camp Mystic, who died during catastrophic flooding in the Texas Hill Country over the July 4th holiday, are suing the camp. More on the story from correspondent Clayton Neville.
4 lawsuits were filed this week by families of victims who died in the flooding that ravaged Camp Mystic. The suits allege the Central Texas camp put profit over safety and that administrators did not evacuate campers when they should have. Instead, the suit alleges the campers and counselors were told to stay in their cabins.
This loss is one no parent should have to endure.
Parents of the victims have spent recent months pleading for more warning systems and accountability at the camp.
I naively assumed she was safer at camp than anywhere else. When I think about the trauma and fear that our girls endured, it makes me physically ill.
Parents testified in front of lawmakers at the state capitol demanding change.
This is an event that was preventable and was caused by years of neglect, ego, and complacency.
Many of the families represented in the lawsuits filed this week are part of the group known as Heavens 27.
We tried our best to not think about the horror, the terror, and the fear that happened in that cabin that night. 14 girls scrambling for their lives because they did what they were told to do.
The lawsuits allege negligence by Richard Dick Eastland, the owner and executive of Camp Mystic, and Edward Eastland, the camp's director. Dick Eastland died in the flood. According to the lawsuits, the camp refuses to accept any responsibility for its actions and failures to act, defiantly blaming the tragedy on an act of God. I'm Clayton Neville.
Coming up on America in the Morning, Arctic blast for millions of Americans, and Google's new AI feature. We're back after these messages. From freezing temperatures in the deep south to lake-effect snow around the Great Lakes, an Arctic blast has frozen states from Wisconsin and New York down to Alabama and Georgia. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
The southeastern U.S. is seeing record low temperatures, and the Northeast is seeing snowfall. Record low temperatures are affecting 18 million people under a freeze warning across Alabama, Florida, and Georgia.
Record low temperatures for the daily. And a lot of them are situated across the southeast, especially Florida, the central Gulf Coast, and then into portions of the lake. From basically Mississippi eastward, there were a fair amount of areas that broke some records.
National Weather Service meteorologist Scott Kleebauer says an area in Florida shattered its record low temperatures.
Our greatest departure that we've seen for a record was actually the Lakeland Regional Airport down in Florida. Their records go back to 1948, and they were at 36, and the old daily record was 44 back in 1996. So actually beating it by a whole 8 degrees.
The cold spell moved from the northern plains and brought an abrupt transition to wintry temperatures. Meanwhile, parts of the Great Lakes and Northeast experienced significant snowfall, making it difficult to drive. Forecasters expect temperatures to rise by the end of the week. I'm Haya Panjwani.
A Christian missionary, father and his daughter were killed in a Florida plane crash as they attempted to fly hurricane relief supplies to Jamaica. Joan Jones has details.
Alexander Worm was the founder of the organization called Ignite the Fire. It's a Christian organization dedicated to empowering youth through missions and evangelism across the Caribbean. That's according to the organization's website. The 53-year-old and his 22-year-old daughter, Serena, were the only occupants aboard a small plane that crashed into a waterway behind the homes of a Coral Springs, Florida neighborhood Monday morning. Witnesses tell Local 10 News out of Miami that plane had nosedived into the pond.
Huge explosion. That's what it sounded like, a big bomb. We just ran out to try and help the officers see what was going on.
Deputy Fire Chief for Coral Springs, Mike Moser, telling the TV station the turboprop plane had been loaded with relief supplies for Jamaica when it went down shortly after taking off from Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport, and rescue crews arrived at the crash site just 5 minutes later.
We do have our police department here with their divers as well. They'll be conducting a recovery mission shortly. We were unable to find any victims or any large pieces of fuselage on our initial dive.
Social media posts suggest the father had purchased that plane recently for missions just like helping hurricane victims. He was a pilot, and his life's work was to, in his words, bless the people of the Caribbean. I'm Joan Jones.
A judge adopts a new congressional map in Utah, which could flip a House seat in favor of Democrats. Correspondent Mike Hempen reports.
A Utah judge has rejected a new congressional map drawn by Republican lawmakers. Judge Diana Gibson has adopted an alternate proposal, giving Democrats a strong shot at flipping a seat in next year's midterm elections. Gibson ruled the map passed last month by the legislature unduly favors Republicans and disfavors Democrats. She selected a map drawn by voting rights groups that keeps Democratic-heavy Salt Lake City almost entirely within one district. Republicans hold all 4 of Utah's U.S. House seats. The newly approved map gives Democrats a much better chance to flip a seat in a state that has not had a Democrat in Congress since 2021. I'm Mike Hempen.
Google unveils their new private AI compute features that looks suspiciously like Apple's private cloud compute with similar features. Chuck Palm has that in today's Tech Report.
Google has just unveiled their new private AI compute, a direct response to Apple's private cloud compute. It seems as if on-device AI is hitting the wall fast. Advanced Gemini models crave too much juice for your phone to handle alone, so Google is shifting the heavy lifting up to the cloud. Unlike normal Google Drive, this is locked down tighter than Fort Knox. Google promises end-to-end encryption and a titanium seal around custom TPUs that even Google engineers cannot touch. Once it's processed, it's deleted from the logs and not even available for a safety review. Expected to roll out with the next November Pixel feature drop, and the new Magic Q on the Pixel 10 becomes eerily prescient, pulling in your calendar, email, and messages for spot-on suggestions at exactly the right moment. Google calls it the start of AI that anticipates your needs without leaving you exposed. Find me on X at Chuck Palm.
Here's Midweek Sports with our Robert Workman.
Baseball's awards week continues. Managers of the Year announced last night. Pat Murphy of the NL Central Division winning Brewers and Stephen Vogt, whose Guardians won the AL Central. If that sounds familiar, both won their respective awards last year as well. Newest college football playoff poll, the top 5 teams remain the same. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Georgia. NBA, the Thunder rolled over the Warriors 126-102 to improve to 11-1. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 28 points, while Chet Holmgren had a perfect shooting night, 9 for 9 from the floor, including 2 trays, and he hit all 3 of his free throws as well. The Jazz bopped the Pacers 152-128, 35 for Lauri Markkanen. Indiana, the other NBA finalist just last summer, is 1-10 to start this season. Brooklyn also 1-10. The Raptors ripped the Nets. Knicks nailed the Grizzlies to improve to 7-0 at Madison Square Garden. Sixers nipped the Celtics, and the Nuggets rocked the Kings. On the ice, the league-leading Avalanche down the Ducks 4-1. That snaps Anaheim's 7-game winning streak. The Bruins won their 7th straight, 5-3 over the Maple Leafs. 2 goals for David Pastrnak to push him over 400 for his career.
Really hit me when the guys came over. That was so cool, what they did for me. It was awesome.
Wins for the Kings, Capitals, Blues, Jets, Blue Jackets, Stars, and Sharks. College basketball, top 10 victories for Duke, Arizona, Michigan, BYU, and Florida. That's Wednesday Sports.
And there's your look at sports. When we return on America in the Morning, what's old is new again on TV's Dancing with the Stars. After these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. Her film credits include The Way We Were, The Sting, and JFK, along with dozens of TV roles. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports on the death of an Oscar-nominated actress, Sally Kirkland.
Your hands are just like little girls. Do you love Daniel? Daniel? Daniel exists precisely not to be loved. You have beautiful skin.
And you have a beautiful body.
Yes, I still do.
Sally Kirkland, a one-time model who became a regular on stage, film, and TV, has died. She was 84. She was best known for sharing the screen with Paul Newman and Robert Redford in The Sting, and her Oscar-nominated title role in the 1987 movie Anna.
We went to all the festivals, Berlin, Venice, Cannes, and then I got pregnant.
Her representative says Kirkland died at a Palm Springs hospice. Sally Kirkland spoke to the AP in 2002 at Liza Minnelli's wedding.
This is Sally Kirkland in New York, the first time in ages, and Liza and David are the most amazing couple.
What about Michael Jackson? I heard.
Well, Michael Jackson was carrying her train for a while.
One-time co-star Jennifer Tilly wrote on X, "Don't say Sally died. Say Sally passed on into the spirits. Safe passage, beautiful lady." I'm Ed Donahue.
Tom Bergeron returned to Dancing with the Stars, and Danielle Fishel gets a surprise of her own. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr has a look.
This week, Dancing with the Stars marked a milestone.
Live from Hollywood, it's the 20th birthday party of Dancing with the Stars.
To celebrate, original host Tom Bergeron returned as the guest judge.
I am thrilled to be here tonight. It's such a rush.
Bergeron hosted Dancing with the Stars from 2005 until 2020. He left due to casting conflicts with the producers, in particular disagreeing with having political figures in the competition. In 2019, Bergeron spoke to Entertainment Weekly Live about former press secretary Sean Spicer as a contestant.
My preference, it's not my call, other people book the show, would have been to avoid any political lightning rods.
Following his own lead, he avoided politics last night, though he did make a plea about voting.
Next season, bring back the result show. Yeah! Let the whole country vote.
Another behind-the-scenes story was revealed by contestant Danielle Fishel. Her 6-year-old son was upset with her busy schedule, so he told a whopper of a lie to his teacher, Fishel explained on the Pod Meets World podcast.
And the teacher was like, "Oh, well, that does sound stressful." And he said, "Yeah, my dad's very upset about it, and he's very nervous." And then he said, "And also my mom died."
Fishel had to navigate an emotional blow-up from her son when she picked him up from school. The two have since made up.
So I go around the corner and he goes, "I'm sorry I said all of that stuff."
Fishel was eliminated last week, so her son should be happy now. I'm Kevin Carr.
That's our show for today, Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. America in the Morning is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.